This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Hello one and all, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we're going to talk about letting a guitar kind of just be what it wants to be, and why I returned my Les Paul Custom back to being a passive guitar. So for us guitar players, one of the main things that we do to individualize ourselves and our instruments is to customize our guitar, whether that is changing the color of the pickup rings or changing out the hardware to something better or changing out the pickups, changing the gauge of the strings. All of those things are personalizing our instruments, and we all do it, and there's no right or wrong in that world. It's just making it what you like. And I love that about guitar playing and the guitar world. And I've come to realize that for a long time, I was kind of making guitars something that they necessarily were not. Let me explain. Back a couple of years ago, I got this really cool 2012 Modera Gibson Les Paul Custom. Notice it has a rosewood fingerboard, and while this may look black on camera, this is actually what I like to call oxblood. It's a very dark brown purplish finish, but they were only made for 1 year. And I bought this guitar really cheap on Reverb, and it's been toured. It's been very toured, and it has the perfect amount of wear and checking and scratches and dings. I'm not precious with this guitar. Now, when I got this guitar, there was a couple of issues with it. The tuners were basically worn out. The bridge was collapsing pretty severely, and it was affecting how the guitar played. Now, once I fixed the bridge and once I fixed the tuners, this thing is a dream to play. This thing plays so well, and I wasn't particularly happy with how it sounded in stock form with the stock pickups, the 498T, namely in the bridge, because I was doing a lot of rehearsal for my band that I was in at the time, Dragged Under, and it didn't really suit that sound for when I wanted to use Les Paul in practice. So I did what any of us would do. I changed out the pickups. I put Fishman Fluence pickups in this guitar, and that's what was in this guitar for several years. Life's challenges can often lead us feeling overwhelmed, but it's okay to ask for help, and that's why I am excited for today's sponsor, BetterHelp, a pathway to a healthier, better you. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and accessible to everyone, because depending on the area that you're in, finding a therapist in your area can be quite difficult. Now, once you find your therapist, you can text, chat, call, whatever format works best for you, they can work with, and you can be as comfortable as you need to wherever you need to be with your therapist. Now, for me personally, I needed to talk to a therapist. My issue was I was on tour. I was literally in Europe looking for a therapist for when I got home, but BetterHelp was the solution that ultimately worked for me, because I could be in any country, in any part of the world, and able to schedule my therapist for a call, a chat, email, whatever I needed to do. It was available to me wherever I was, and that took a huge weight off of my shoulders. Now, because finding a therapist can often be a lot like dating, just because you find a therapist doesn't mean you have to stick with them. And if you want to get a different therapist, you can simply choose another therapist. You don't have to worry about insurance or pre-approvals with the BetterHelp app. So if you find yourself struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. I will link down below in the description. My link is betterhelp.com/riffs. Now, over the course of the last couple of years, this was a studio guitar. It was one of the guitars that I have in my guitar rack here at home, and I never toured with this in the band, but I would rehearse with it, and when I wasn't rehearsing with it, it would just be used for the occasional video or whatever. But because it had Fishman Fluence pickups in it, I'm a Fishman artist. I have my own signature pickup. I have like 8 or 9 guitars with Fishman Fluence pickups in it. And if I want that sound and I want that feel, I wouldn't reach for the Les Paul. I would reach for, one of my Ernie Ball Music Man Stingrays to get that sound, because that's what I tour with. That's what I spend a lot of time playing And I wouldn't necessarily think and therefore play and write within that frame of mind when I picked up this guitar. So this guitar wouldn't get used at all. So fast forward to last year, I got this beautiful Murphy Lab Gibson Les Paul Custom with its aging and its checking, and it's much lighter than my 2012 Gibson Les Paul Custom. But this really struck a chord with me because this is totally a stock guitar. However, like my buddy Ben Eller likes to say, the Paul palled. And this thing just sounded like a good old Les Paul, and I kind of wanted that in my other custom, but I didn't want it to be exactly like the Murphy Lab. What do I do? So this is what I did. I returned the Les Paul Custom back to its stock neck pickup, and then I put a 500T in the bridge because when this was in stock form, when I first got this guitar, the bridge pickup, I don't know if there was something wrong with it or not. It sounded very anemic, and also the pickup had kind of moved away from the cover, so it was kind of sunk in relation to the cover. And I don't know if that was necessarily a healthy thing or not, like the wax, it got so hot that the wax had moved or something. I don't know. However, this guitar sounded pretty anemic. So in addition to the 500T bridge pickup, I also installed an Emerson 50s Les Paul wiring harness, which really affects when you roll off on the volume. Also, it's just a high quality harnessing compared to the factory harness. So I just wanted something really high quality, really good sounding electronics in passive form for this guitar. And that's exactly what I got. Now, since returning this guitar back to a passive configuration with the 500T instead of the 498T in the bridge, what has this done? This puts me in the correct mindset to play this guitar, right? So for me, this is kind of like a hard rock riff machine, but not in the way that like my Music Man baritone guitar would be, for example, or even my Stingray RSs that I have from Ernie Ball Music Man. I just think a little differently when I pick up the Les Paul, and it is now more in line with the tone that actually comes out of the guitar than it was before, if that makes sense. Really, I had the wrong shoes or the wrong pants with the wrong shoes. They weren't necessarily matching, and now sonically, this guitar kind of does what my frame of mind expects when I pick this guitar up. I don't know if I'm making any sense or not. However, I'm letting the guitar just do what this guitar was meant to do, be a big old rock machine, and I love it. All the pickable links down below in the description. That's all I had for you today. I just kind of wanted to get that thought out there and to get you guys thinking about how you modify and how you customize your guitars. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.